Good morning. It's Sunday, June 13th. State Representative Aaron Michowitz is our guest. Let's go on the record. As chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, he is a key Beacon Hill power broker. The post-pandemic economy, the dominant issue right now. We'll talk about the path forward.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Welcome to OTR. I'm Janet Wu. Ed Harding is off this week, and we have big news, massive news. We're back at the round table. For the first time since March 2020, eye contact is actually possible, and our guest today is Aaron Michowitz, and who better to kick off our post-pandemic conversation? He represents Boston's 3rd Suffolk District, which includes several Boston neighborhoods, the North End, South End, Chinatown, and Beacon Hill among them. He's a Democrat who first took office in 2009, and he's now the chairman of House Ways and Means Committee. He is also a graduate of Northeastern University. Can you believe this?
This is beautiful. Thank you for having me.
I almost feel like we're doing something dangerous.
I'm proud to be the first one to be here when we're doing this.
But we've both been vaccinated, very fully vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated a couple weeks ago, so I'm out and about now.
We're actually taking our masks off. This is great. So let's get right into this. The big headline this week coming out of the legislature out of Beacon Hill was the approval of the millionaire's tax. Voters will weigh in on the November 2022 ballot. Are you worried at all about driving the wealthy and certain businesses out of Massachusetts?
No, I mean, I think, well, first off, this is just a process to put the initiative on the ballot and have a conversation amongst the voters, amongst the general public about what to do. I think we have talked about the need for revenue in this state. If you remember back right before the pandemic, the House passed a bill related to transportation revenue because of the needs that we saw pre-pandemic related to the transportation needs. We also have the education discussion that is vital with the Student Opportunity Act and the things we have to approve for that, or the commitments that we've made on that to make sure the funding goes there. So these are things that are obviously important discussions. I think we have to put all options on the table, and I think this is one way to do that through a ballot initiative, see what the general public thinks, and we'll have a conversation with it.
But you voted for it.
I voted for it, yes, to get it on the ballot, yes.
And they're talking, I mean, you put out estimates of about $2 billion, but others say it's going to be closer to $1 billion because a lot of people and a lot of businesses will move out of state. Do you put any credit to that analysis?
I think you have to pay attention to all the analysis. I think there are different mitigating factors related to some of those things that are going on. You've seen some other states have challenges with that. I think there are certain reasons why. We'll have to look at that and make a decision. I think all the voters will have to, weigh those options as it goes forward. But the fact is that there is a need for revenue, and this is an option that we should be exploring.
But you don't negate the idea that people might leave because of it.
I don't think. I'm not negating anything because I know people are putting a lot of effort and time into trying to come up with reasonable explanations on what could happen. But I don't think it's necessarily something that's a definitive answer.
So the money ostensibly would go to education and transportation, as you just said. But in the past, Beacon Hill always managed to find ways to spend money not originally promised. The cigarette tax is a very good example. The money was supposed to go towards health care. It got diverted to other things. What kind of guarantee can you offer voters that this is where the money actually will go?
Well, this is where the need is. So, I think it's very obvious that there's a need to fund the Student Opportunity Act, and there's a need to put some money into transportation. We have a crumbling infrastructure in our state that investment is critical. And then on the education side, we have a $1.5 billion commitment over the next 7 years related to Chapter 70 funding and making sure that low-income students and students with English as a second language are getting the services that they need. So this is, it's not about necessarily whether it's a guaranteed. This is where the need is going to be, and we need to focus on that need.
But you can't guarantee it. That's the bottom
line,
right?
You couldn't guarantee it. That's why it got thrown off the ballot 2 years ago. The original petition, in 2018, the original petition actually specified education and transportation, and the SJC threw out that ballot initiative because you can't tie the hands of future legislators every year by saying this money has to go to this piece.
Let's talk a little bit about that big pot of federal pandemic money that just came in. The state is sitting on right now more than $5 billion. Governor Baker has jurisdiction over this money, but you want to move the money into a fund where the legislature gets a say, you and the Senate. Don't you trust the governor to spend the money the way it's supposed to be spent?
I trust the governor's instincts. I trust the governor's work. And that's why we were very flexible in relation to during the pandemic. We gave the governor a lot of flexibility on how to spend the money on the CARES Act funding back then. On this instance, it's a different thing. The $5 billion is the largest influx of one-time revenue that we've ever seen in this state. We want to make sure there's a transparent process, a process that makes sure everyone has an opportunity to weigh in. There's a lot of people that have interest in how we're going to spend this money. And I think that for us, we wanted to go through a regular process. Like I said, the CARES Act money was done during an emergency. The state of emergency is ending on June 15th, and I think it's time that we're talking about recovery and how to make these investments. And it's critical in the sense that with this $5 billion, the economy and our revenues have been pretty strong over the last couple months, even in the last year, in the midst of the pandemic. And one of those reasons is because the federal government has invested so much money or put so much money into our system. It's kept our economy, pretty stable in unstable times. And the fact is that we're going to be at a point where at some point that money is going to run out. And this might have caused some, a false sense of security in some respects going forward. And we need to make sure that we're investing this money, we're targeting it smartly, correctly, and that we can get our economy moving even after this federal dollars run out. And that's why this $5 billion is critical in terms of that conversation.
But that being said, the legislature usually slows down a lot of what needs to be done on Beacon Hill, and it is still a crisis. You're not afraid that having more voices in the conversation is going to prevent the money going for where it needs to be going immediately? I
mean, I think there is immediacy, and I think we're going to have those conversations of what the immediacy should be. But overall, it is important to make sure that we do a deliberate process, that people see how we're spending this money, and not just going just through one entity.
I want to ask you about redistricting. It's an issue that sends many voters diving under their blankets, quite frankly. But this affects everyone. The House this week changed the procedure for remapping the districts and the precincts. Instead of municipalities drawing lines first and then moving up the chain, you want to make the changes from top down. Secretary of State Bill Galvin calls this devastating to cities and towns. And who knows, they say cities and towns know the changes the best in their communities. So why is he wrong?
Well, this process is, the reason why we're having to do this is because of COVID and because the census was so delayed and everything the timelines got changed and whatnot. And we have a situation where we have to have something done by November. By law, by the Massachusetts Constitution, we have to have something done by November in order for people to be living in the districts that they're going to be running in 2022. And the fact is that some of these census numbers may not come out until September, they're saying. So there is a need for us to be moving a little bit differently than we have in the past, and for us to draw these lines appropriately and make sure that we create a system that works. The way we did it 10 years ago got praise. We were one of the only states in the country not to face any lawsuits through our redistricting process. I credit the redistricting chair, Mike Moran, for the work that he did back in 2010 and for the work that he's doing right now. And I think that in order to us to do this properly, we're going to have to do it a little bit differently because of the pandemic.
Critics, however, say what you're trying to really do is protect your members from potential challengers, so you're able to draw the precincts that are best for the people that are now in office.
Well, maybe those critics were thinking of something from the past, but that's not how we operate now. And I think the example is what we did in 2010 in 2011 when we did the redistricting the last time, which got praise from all the voter rights advocates and whatnot. And voter rights advocates were on board and almost unanimously supported this piece of legislation, and is going to support it going forward.
Let's talk about mail-in voting. Permanent mail-in voting is on the fast track right now. Your bill requires the Secretary of State to mail applications to all registered voters. But the Senate has been talking only about a short-term extension. Have you spoken to Senate leaders about moving more aggressively permanently, and do you think they would come on board with what you're doing?
We've had conversations about it. I think we're going to have further conversations about it. We think that this worked. We were happy with the process. We thought it produced the highest vote totals in both the state primary, I believe, and in the final that we've ever had in Massachusetts. And so I think it shows mail-in ballots are a successful operation in Massachusetts. They're the way to go. And I think we want to make sure that we put our stamp down and support it for 2022.
Do you think you got the votes in the Senate, too, as well as the House?
I'd have to ask the Senate about that, but I think we're going to, continuing to have further conversations.